Tov Reish Ayin Aleph. Tzarech lizoher ma'od ba'adlokas neres Chanukah. These words need help. Tzarech lizoher ma'od, to eat matzah.
Probably it means that you could take it very lightly. It's Hanukkah, just candles, nothing, special.
You know what? Maybe you're right.
You like that shot?
No, maybe you're not like the pshat. Maybe it's a question.
A question?
Why should you take it serious?
It's just candles, and it's just,
What about Shalchmanis?
Same thing. They have to be better than the next guy.
The Shalach Manos, that becomes a tremendous mitzvah. The Shalach Manos.
Okay. I'll just share with you a fascinating thing which I don't understand, or maybe I do understand, I'm not sure. The Rambam says, mitzvos Chanukah chaviva ma'od. The Rambam is like a halachist, you would think he's a dry bones kind of a guy. And what does that mean, it's chaviva ma'od? Who asked him?
He's telling you.
Well, it's chaviv to who?
It seems to be the opposite of this then. If it's chaviv, why do you have to be careful to do it?
Okay, you're here. Welcome aboard, right. There's something elusive about Hanukkah. And perhaps we're going to have an answer to that question too, very shortly. But the opening words of the Shulchan Aruch are troublesome to people like me. It's Tzarech lizar ma'od. I don't know, I can think about many mitzvahs that... What?
Be careful.
They have to be careful. Why do you have to really be careful? Now, to make matters worse, the next line is disjointed or associated with that which we're saying now. That fits
right in, really.
Yep.
The same way that you're Akev Tishmiyun. Akev, Rashi says over there, those things, those mitzvos or whatever that are, that you put your heel onto it. So maybe they would consider this also. I said, telling you, no, it's not. It's a very chaviv. It's very...
Okay. So that's good. I like what you're saying. But let's think about it a little bit broader. Why is there a halacha afilu odiyam misparnes min atzdaka shel b'cheksusay?
Because you have to be careful to do it.
Why? What's so special about this mitzvah?
People may not, because it's a whatever reason, darabanan, whatever. People may not borrow money to do it.
Okay, that would be good. However, the Mishnah Berurah says a different reason. And after this is called, I'm going to be sued for entrapment. Okay, that's why it's important. No, you set things up, then you understand that there's something going on. Why is afilu mishum persume nisa? There's an aspect in this mitzvah of Persume Nisa, and Persume Nisa is such a great inyan. I have no better word to use than inyan, right? It's not a mitzvah. Persume Nisa is not a mitzvah. It's an aspect, right? So it's such a big inyan that it overhauls the chiyuv of the mitzvah, and it sets it apart from other mitzvahs, ad kedei that the ani has to sell his clothes to do it. Now, does that have to do with Chaviv Ma'od? Or is that a different subject? Different subject. Perhaps. It's going to be a long night. Anyways, but you understand? Yes, are you with me?
Yeah, I'm just trying to put it all together.
Okay. All right. Me too. That's what we're here for. All right.
Is it Persume Nisa that he'll light it, or that he has to sell his clothes?
You work for a tabloid?
Which would attract more attention?
A Persume Nisa does not mean that you have to walk around without any clothing on.
I didn't mean that.
That does not mean B'chek Susa doesn't mean you have to be undressed altogether. That's not what it means. All right. What?
A bit cold too.
A bit cold, okay. You can be. We have Dr. Cohen would know what you're talking about. It happens in the middle of summer,
It's not strange.
right? Isn't this a summer holiday?
It's a bit strange.
Mid summer holiday. Anyways,
Megillah has a similar halacha? Or just you'll never afford it?
it's not. It doesn't cost any money, Megillah.
If you
No,
don't
it's
have a
Shach
Megillah.
Manos.
If you don't have a Megillah.
There's no. To hear from somebody else. The mitzvah doesn't demand. The mitzvah doesn't demand.
Yeah,
That's not. The mitzvah doesn't cost.
Money.
Doesn't cost money. Okay. All right. Anyways, let's continue. Shalal absachim. Oy moichek susay. Oy masker atzmoy. Alo ein mochui b'chol zeh. Rak u'shil ner echo b'chol ayla. No, it's not. This is only for the basic chiyuv that you have to do this. Now, I just would like to point out something which perhaps to people is a chiddush, and perhaps the reason why it's a chiddush is because it's not usually discussed, and perhaps it shouldn't be discussed. A person doesn't have money for mitzvahs to see mechuyev to do them. I don't have money to build a sukkah. So there are halachic gedorim. Person doesn't have a certain amount of money, so you're called a oinus, and you're part of the mitzvah. You're not mechuyev, and there are certain things which are unnerving, because we are conditioned by Western society, and we're so conditioned that we don't even think that we're conditioned. All right? The halacha is, in most cases, I owe you money. Okay? So you come to Bezdin, and you're taveh me, I say, you don't take me to Bezdin. I agree I owe you money. I just don't have any money to pay. So they say, pay up. I don't have any money.
You're a slave.
No such thing. We'll send you down south to Lee and Grant. I don't know what you're talking about. I didn't steal anything. This is exactly the point. There is no such thing. That Bezdin can't say no such thing. In 98% of the cases, there's no such thing that we force a person to go to work to pay back his chayvus. And a person is not mechuyev to sell what he has to do mitzvahs. No, this is an idea. We're brought up in Western civilization, so we have certain things which you owe the guy money, you have to go and do X. I had a legal question this week, and I asked a lawyer, it was about me, about somebody else, if this person could be sued for what he's doing. He was doing it good, but the person said, somebody's unhappy, could he be sued? So he said, let me teach you the first law in being sued. If you don't have money, they don't sue you. Does the guy have money? I said, no. He said, just don't worry about it.
Interesting.
The area sues you, puts on the call, your cheshbon and whatever else, if you have money to pay.
One second. 1 second. The and put you on the call, and what? They take you out of your house?
Sometimes they'll take metal to the house.
So they're there, but there's we're talking about being sued, right? For the $5 million suit, they're not coming taking away your typewriter, right? That's not, that's not.
Typewriter might be worth
Yeah, whatever. I'm just saying, this is. We're talking about a guy being sued, malpractice. We're talking about serious money, not a guy who didn't pay his chashmal bill. Okay. Anyways, that was just a piece of advice. That wasn't the law. Anyways.
I heard though there's a machlokus, isn't there, as far as say a person needs $100,000 to make a chatanah, and he's no way of getting the money or returning it. Is he allowed to borrow it from a gemach? Some upon him I hear say you can do it, you can borrow it, and others say no, you're not allowed under any circumstances.
I have no clue of an understanding of your question or its relevance.
No, the question is, are you allowed to borrow around if you know you can't return?
Yeah, but that has nothing to do with what we're talking about mitzvahs, right?
No,
There must be
I have a habit of smoking marijuana. Am I allowed to borrow money from a gemach if I don't have money to pay it back? I Are you allowed to borrow money if you don't know where to pay it back from? Where the chasna come from?
There must be some way that they can. I mean, they make a raving, don't they? They make sure they can get their money.
That could be. That could be. You know, Avadia Hanavi was going to be sold into slavery, right? He didn't pay back, right? We know that. There's all kinds, but that's a contractual agreement. That is not a legal agreement.
I'm not sure what the difference would be.
One is that the Torah tells you, or the law tells you what you have to do. Another thing is we made up between ourselves. We can make up between ourselves whatever we want to make up. That's not, and when you made it up, it could be binding. That could be true too. That's not the point. But we're talking about what does the Torah demand, what does the law demand when a person is not paying. Okay?
Yeah, just what I've said about if a person got no money, there's no way of forcing him to.
Usually.
Forcing him something. He just. Yeah, I wasn't aware of such a thing. It's like a new
That,
concept to me.
what did I say? I introduced this by saying that being that you're brought up by Western culture. I will just share this. Somebody asked me last week about the Shvuyim. So I said, you mean all the religious people in Israel? So he said, why are they Shvuyim? I said, they're Shavui to what the media tells them about the Charedim. They're also Shvuyim. And you'll speak to many of them, and they'll tell you that they didn't know that Charedim could actually speak coherent sentences. What am I telling? Is this true or not true? Some. No, there's such a thing, right? What are they Shavui to? To the media. Right? Okay, so you are Shavui to Western culture. That's exactly what I said. Nothing personal. 3 for 1. Okay? Okay, anyways, let's carry on.
But you don't literally have to sell your shirt.
Not if you don't have any, not if you're going to be naked this week.
That's
I'll just share with you the following question that was asked at a halachic medical conference. A person is in the shower and he gets a Hatzalah call. How much clothing is he allowed to put on before he goes to save somebody's life?
The minimum necessity.
Why are you looking at me like that?
Interesting question.
This is not like this was a real question. There's somebody.
Yeah, I can see it.
I'm 38. Before, in the old country, 38. And there was a guy there. It's clear he came straight from the showers. He was wearing just like a wet undershirt and his kafkafim. It was he's dripping. He came right from the shower, right? How much you allowed to wear? Do you have to speak to Yosef Hatzadik? All right. Anyways, you know what the answer to that question is? Very simple answer. As much as you need to be able to function. I think that's the answer to the question. How much is that? Some people always walk around indecent, right? All right. Anyways, let's carry on. So now let's see. We're gonna keep all this is a all related subject over here. Kamaneres madlik, v'layla rishoyle madlik echad mikam v'elech moisech v'hoylech echad b'chol layla. Probably the most famous question of all of Hilchos Chanukah is the Beis Yosef's question. I think that there's a question which by far is better than the Beis Yosef's question, and it's on the line that we just learned. I would imagine that Shulchan Aruch would be Erlich. I would imagine so. So, if somebody would ask you, I'm just using the vernacular. This is not. I'm not doing anything else. What's kosher? Only Eid HaChareidis. Is that okay? Is that okay to say?
No,
Why not?
because you're making a very general statement. People
I know, it's a specific statement, not a general
Okay,
statement.
very-
But a specific statement.
Yeah,
Very
that's
narrow.
about-
The very narrow
Right,
statement.
right.
No,
It's
I mean,
just
people,
not
Opposite.
people are
That's just
different.
not true.
It's not true.
Leaving no
Okay.
room for anything else.
Yeah.
Now, you're all mad at me, right? I'm happy. How many candles do you have to light?
One.
Does it say that in Shulchan Aruch?
Yes.
No, Mishnah Berurah.
Which Shulchan Aruch says that?
Mishnah Berurah.
Is it Kol Yom Echad?
No, you're not looking inside.
Every two base though.
Yom HaRishon Madlik
Right.
Echad,
Doesn't it
and
say
every day you
every
add.
night you have to light one?
Mosif Lo.
First day one, the second day two. That's what it says in Shulchan Aruch.
Right.
Is that correct?
Okay.
That's Eid HaChareidis.
That's a Rambam. Chaviv Ameld.
No!
No, he's
Halacha!
Mahadrim, Mahadrim.
What?
but he skipped
The
him.
head-
Did he say Mahadrim and Mahadrim?
No.
If I would say Eid HaChareidis is Mahadrim and Mahadrim, would anybody say that I'm narrow-minded?
No.
No? This is a good question. What?
What's the answer?
We learned.
Yeah, but that's it.
What?
I don't remember what the answer was last time we learned this.
I know. But
Oh,
this-
okay.
The question was
What?
in my head. Kilu, I know this probably from the Rav.
Okay, so this is when I say a serious question. I would like to give you a hint to the answer to the question. I can't blame you. I'm not sure when we learned this the last time. I don't think it was last year.
No.
It was a few years ago. So you're excused for not remembering what we learned a few years ago. Perhaps in the answer I'll give this year is not the same as I gave then. I don't remember what I said then either. But I do remember what we learned last week. And there's something we learned last week which I think would shed light on this question. We learned last week about
Not the work.
about what?
Not the work.
Everybody remembers what's relevant for them. Yeah. What about when we learned about doing work? We remember that too. We learned about this Sudas Mitzvah business.
No, so
You have
it's
to make it a
if you do the Shos Shvachot, it's main.
So, and we said that that's the way it was designed.
Right.
It was designed to create the upgrade.
This is also
Now here, and this is a fascinating idea, and this is really an idea which all of Hanukkah is enveloped with this idea. In general, there is the basic halacha, and then there is the chumrah. In Hanukkah, the chumrah is the ideal, not the ideal as in the hitter. There's a question, and I'll use this. We'll say this in what I very yeshivish, lumdish terms. Tu mahutra b'tzibur. So therefore, why did they not want to light the tali oil? It's mutter. What's the answer?
you don't want to start on the wrong foot.
I don't understand. Is that the way to go, or you should do what you could do?
Should not. You're better-
So we understand that there are certain circumstances that the basic halacha does not do the job. You missed the point of Hanukkah if you do it the basic. So we omit it. We don't deny it because we don't want you to do that. We don't want you to do that. Now,
Is a heater the same thing as a chumrah?
no. No.
This is a heater, not chumrah.
No. Here, this is, and we're going to get back to this in 1 second. Here, this is the concept of the mitzvah. It's not a hiddur and it's not a chumrah. It's the concept of the mitzvah that we're talking
Wasn't
about.
a heater, they won't call him mahadran.
What?
Wasn't a heater, why would they call it mahadran? It's a mode.
It's not a stira. It's because the halachic guideline of it, you're yaitzer mitzvah without it, but you missed the point. It's like eating a peanut butter sandwich for your Shabbos Suda. You were yaitzer? Did you do what you're supposed to do? No. No. Okay? The end. It's not a shafik. You did the wrong thing. Now, I'm going to ask a question, parents. This is a question for parents. Perhaps Yechiel will have an answer to this question. Is Parsume Nitza a ma'akev in Eretz Chanukah? No.
Meaning what?
If I cannot have Parsume Nitza,
If you light it and no one sees it?
that's right.
You're going to see it.
That's not called Parsume Nitza. I have arrived from Mishnah Berurah. That's not called Parsume Nitza. Parsume Nitza is for others. So you're yaitzer.
You should do. But yeah.
What? Yeah, you're yaitzer. Now I have a question on the Mishnah Berurah. This is an Iyun shir, by the way. Okay? I have a question on the Mishnah Berurah shir, and if I would be like my Rebbe in elementary school, I'm willing to give a prize to somebody who has an answer to this question. This is a good question. We learned everything here tonight. You don't have to remember from last time. Why does a person have to be moicher ksusai?
Because Besunis is important.
Is Parsume Nitza ma'akev?
No.
So I have to sell my clothes for something that's not a mitzvah, that the inyan is not ma'akev, and for something that I'm not doing the mitzvah altogether, I don't have to sell my clothes? This is absurd. This is good for Purim. But it's Chanukah. Are you with me? So what's the answer to the question? It's not a question whether you're yaitzer without Parsume Nisa. It's the point of the mitzvah is Parsume Nisa.
It's the crux of the mitzvah.
Right, but now that doesn't mean
You don't have to.
that it's ma'akev. This is, in Torah you find this often, this kind of a, thank you, dichotomy is the word that he used. Yeah, this is, I know Yechiel knows that I like these kind of things. It really brings out the point of what's the point. That's basically my point that I'm trying to make over here.
Is that like some Buddhabim without Kavana so he doesn't have to do it again?
I don't think so. First of all, the Mishnah Berurah doesn't know the answer to that question. Mishnah Berurah belongs to Tzarech Iyun on that question. But the yeshivish answer to that question is, even though you're not Yetzet Tefillah, it's some kind of a form of Tefillah. You understand what I just said? In other words, just because you're not Yetzet, that doesn't mean you didn't do anything. You didn't pass the bar. But it's not a bracha levato, because you did daven. That's called daven, yeah.
So you say the same thing by the neighbors. You did the neighbors, so there was no one to do Parsume Nitza.
Yeah, 100%. But you're yaitza. Here you're yaitza. We'll tell you lechatchila, you're yaitza. In other words, we started off. Let's just start this. I'm not sure where we started off, but what's called starting off on this question. But I just asked the question: how could the Mishnah Berurah be unethical? That was my question. I mean, not the Mishnah Berurah, the Shulchan Aruch. How could it be unethical? And the answer is that it's not, because the litmus test of importance is not in the pass-fail department. That's a mistake.
Always or before?
Here, it's for this reason, and not always. I'll use this as an example, and for those who want to argue with me, I have a proof that I'm right. Somehow I always work that out that way. Which is more important, to be Shomer Shabbos or to fast on Yom Kippur?
The Rav's going to say Shomer Shabbos.
That's not what I'm going to say. Yeah.
Fasting on Kippur is what I automatically.
Fasting on Yom Kippur, so the right answer should be Shomer Shabbos, because Shomer Shabbos is skila and Yom Kippur is only Paris. But I'm going to quote a Gemara. Hu ubenoi bol naira musasa b'yom kippurim. The epitome of audacity and scoffing religion is doing something on Yom Kippur. You know, a person says, he's not religious. He eats chazer. And what about if he eats non-slaughtered meat? There is absolutely no difference. Both are an Isser Doraisa. But a guy that eats chazer is nishkanyid, right? That's
flying in the face.
Right, but you know, it's defiance. It's not the question of which Aveira it is.
Tzitzis and a kippah versus a kippah.
Oh, the tzitzis and a kippah, I have an answer to that question. There's a question when I was 15, this question that consumed me. The people who I saw going off the derech, the first thing they did was take off their tzitzis, and the last thing was take off their yarmulke. And it was clear to me that if I, Cholil, would go off the derech, I'd do the exact opposite. Because you live in America, the last thing you want people to see you as a Jew, and nobody knows what's doing under your clothes. It took me 5 years to figure out the answer to the question. Okay? You didn't have this question when you were a teenager? Just like very important questions. The answer to the question is, first you have to make a statement to yourself. And taking off your kippah is a point of no return. You have to be very secure in your position to take your kippah off. Even though it's so detrimental to your existence in the secular world. But that means you're really shedding your previous existence. And people aren't so willing to do that. You got to be in a really bad place to do that. Anyways, but these are the questions of my youth. Anyways, let's carry on. So the bottom line is that Yom Kippur is more important than Shabbos legabe a certain aspect. You want to know which one you'll get more Gehenna for? A lot for Shabbos. Which is worse? Now, this is one last thing. A guy who bites his nails on Shabbos, or a guy who walks with a pen in his pocket on Shabbos?
Bites his nails.
The guy who bites his nails is over partially on Issa D'Oraisa, and the guy who has a pen in his pocket is doing nothing wrong, according to many poskim. But I disagree with you.
It looks worse.
Why do I disagree with you? Because the guy who's walking around with a pen in his pocket is making a statement. He's scoffing at religion. The other guy, he just can't control himself, right? No, this is not, biting his nails on Shabbos is Mata I shouldn't bite them, right? Right? It's so when not everything is judged by, what madur of Gehenna you get. So the lighting of the Neiros Chanukah and doing it Mahadrin, this is the lave of the idea. And we want you to do this. The whole thing is an expression of your love and devotion to Hashem. If we're going to force you to do it, then you can't do it.
Sounds very similar to the idea on Sukkot, having Hudar Etrog.
Why?
Because you don't say...
Every mitzvah, you can always do it at a lower level, at a higher level. So, it's better to do every mitzvah, but the esrog, it's not demanded of you that you have a militic esrog. I met today with a principal of a girls' school, and I explained to the principal the following thing. Since we're all males here, I'm going to speak negatively about men, okay, and positively about women. And I said as follows: why is it that you find that women take on more chumras and more mitzvahs, and men don't do that? by and large, they have a greater urge to do more.
Men have a lot more to do as it is.
Okay. It's a good thing that this is not going public. You could be in a lot of trouble for statements like that. I don't know if that's true. I don't know if that's... No, that men do not look usually for external stimuli to that which they have. And all that's part of a man's nature. Women have this, it's a nature issue. This is not a better or worse. And that's part of the woman's growth, is taking things on which she's not mechuyev to do. She would go overboard. That's not necessarily the man's job. This has to do with, and this principle, after listening to me, says, you mean you're explaining to me what it means, shosani kirtzonai? I said, yes. That's exactly what it means. There's an aspect in being a woman that supersedes being a man. Now, even if that's true, that the gift of going far beyond the call of duty doesn't compare to gadol mitzvah v'oisa ve'ein mitzvah v'oisa. No, it's a different plus. It's a plus. It's a different plus. So in Chanukah, when we're trying to express our doing more, you can do it on the minimum. Doing it on the minimum means you missed the point. You ate a peanut butter and jelly sandwich for Shabbos. Just missed the point. Could be your yaitz, you just didn't do the mitzvah. That's all. All right. Anyways.
So would today using wax candles, which everyone used in England, that would be considered doing the minimum today?
I would like to share with you a philosophy of mine that took me about 15 years to get it down pat. Every chumrah that you do should be either an expression of your Avos Hashem, or your Yiras Hashem, or everybody else is doing it. That's a valid reason. And I'll use this as an example. I'll get to the wax candles in a minute. Where I was brought up, it was unusual for a boy to have payas. The boy who had payas was making a statement. Where my kids grew up, the average kid has payas, and the boy who didn't have payas was making a statement. So how important is having payas?
Depends on you.
Right.
But it depends on the year or something.
Right, but we what I said, I'm sure is recognizable to you, right? I'm not saying so. It has very little meaning in the society. But if everybody else is wearing payas and you're not, then you're making a statement, even though you don't want to make that statement. So you're forced to have payas because otherwise you're making a statement that you don't hold by. All right, now. In my opinion, I'm right now being very serious, if I would be the one who would be the director for Klal Yisrael, I would say that 50% of the people that light Shemen Zayis should light with wax candles. And I'll tell you why. They burn better. Most people that I see them using Shemen Zayis have a hard time. It's not simple. Somebody wants to use Shemen Zayis. A regular guy has asked me, what should I use? I would probably say, buy the pre-packaged, ready-to-go ones. The ones that they use over here, I wish I could do it as good as them. Right? You know what I'm talking about? They burn nicely. Most people in their house, do they get it like that?
Sometimes yes, sometimes no.
That's part of the fun.
I thought it was a mitzvah. I didn't know it was fun. Okay, this midwinter vacation.
No.
So the Pele Yoetz discusses this idea of having a nice flame, but there's no statement being made about you going out of your way for the mitzvah, and an ikar part of a chibur mitzvah, a hider mitzvah. And I'm sharing this you from Rabbi Yashiv. Somebody asked Rabbi Yashiv, the guy next to me in shul has a beautiful esrog, and I only have a Beinoni one, but I worked very hard to get it. On which esrog should I make a bracha? So Rabbi Yashiv said, the one that you worked on to do it, that's the first hitter. So if the person is going to make his own wicks and do his own menorah and consider it a zchus to be involved in doing mitzvahs, it's a mashrocha. I don't find that people consider it like that. Most people consider it, excuse my English, a frustrating chore. Is that more or less the way it is? Kadosh Baruch Hu doesn't want your frustrating chores. He wants you to do mitzvahs b'simcha. But there's an issue. Everybody else is doing it kilu mahadrin, and I'm doing it less. So you have a problem over here. So again, since I'm not the Gadol Hador and I don't tell Klal Yisrael what to do, Avada you should light with Shemen Zayis. B'li safek. In other words, I'm not changing my official opinion is Klatstein. I'm just telling you part of the back office work. How do I come to it? But do I really think that that person is doing the best he could do? Perhaps under the circumstances. Perhaps. But in the olden times, and don't get me wrong, we'll see it. The Ramah says what I'm telling you. They lit with wax candles because it burns better. It's not my idea. It says in Shulchan Aruch. So people say, no, I once saw Shemen Zayis burn nice. You were in the Smithsonian Institute. I don't know where you were, but those aren't your candles. They're somebody else's, right?
Nowadays they sell the tzinarot. They burn very nice.
You have to. I'm not going to argue with you.
Okay.
You have to have the exact right tzinor per the wick, and you have to have it up exactly the right amount. And you will take a look at most people on the 5th day of Hanukkah, and you'll see they do not have uniform lights. Check it out. No, no, I'm not. What?
You have to work it out.
Oh, so yeah. So that's and people are not willing to work it out.
But they burn nice, but so cute.
If you get it
I'm
right.
saying it's not.
If you get it right.
Okay.
If you get it right. So that's called WORK. Right? And since that's a 4-letter word, so we try to avoid it. Anyways, what?
I'll forget about it next week, apparently.
No, I know it's Be'emes. I myself, I make my wicks, and to me it's a very important thing, and I consider it a schus, and I don't want to trade it in for a off-the-shelf deal. However, on the subject, here in Beit Shemesh, on Shabbos, all of my kids light the prepackaged ones. Because there's a time element, there's lachats, and then you lose the value. So it's not a money question. How are we going to do the mitzvah that we're going to get the most bang for our buck? That's the question. I'm not talking about money. I'm talking about your involvement will bring you the furthest. All right. What?
And Friday is diminishing returns.
Friday is diminishing time. I don't know about returns. Anyways, all right. Now, Balad Rishon Malik Echad. Mikam Va'elech, Moisef V'Hoisef, Echad Kol Laila, Ad Shebelela Achroin. Shema, you know what? Maybe we'll stop here and we'll try again next week.